we got some rather confusing news, in my opinion. It's confusing. Towards UFC fighter Rose Namajunas. In comments that she made, she stands by them, and they were anti-communism comments ahead of her fight against Zhang Weili. And so basically, these comments, Nate, I'm gonna read them, and this gets a little bit confusing, okay? But she talks about how her family's from Lithuania, and she said she drawn inspiration from the documentary The Other Dream Team, which talks about the 1992 Lithuanian men's national basketball team. Which, in case you guys don't know, the '92 Dream Team is also the team that ended up winning the gold medal that year with Michael Jordan and insanely Hall of Fame class. Um, she talks about how the film gave her inspiration and how Lithuania's basketball team they were fighting they were battling as an independent country after falling to the Soviet Union. And she said recently she told a Lithuanian outlet that the movie is a reminder that, and I quote, "It's better dead than red," which is an anti-communist expression coined during the Cold War. She also said Zhang is red and that freedom is a huge motivation factor for why she fights. And in case you guys don't know a lot about Zhang Weili, she is the first ever UFC champion from China. And then she elaborated on her comments as well. She said, and I quote, "If you're confused about any of my opinions, you can watch the documentary and you could get a good idea as to what my family had to go through, the reason why I'm in the United States today, the reason why I do mixed martial arts, all that stuff." And then she said, and I quote, I'd probably have a really different life if it wasn't for everything in that documentary. How Lithuanians had to struggle with communism oppression. The reason that I brought it up is that I referenced it. No, the reason why I brought it up and I referenced it is because the reporter suggests that I had animosity towards past opponents, and that's what maybe caused the motivation in those fights. And in this one, there's no animosity, so there's a lack of motivation, but that couldn't be further from the truth. And it's funny because her and Zhang, they share the same manager. And Namajuna said it wasn't anything personal against her opponent. And even at one point, this is why it gets confusing. Namajuna said she viewed all her opponents as red. And she said, and I quote, "They're just another person standing in the way of my dream." And she said, and I quote, "I love Wei Li. I don't know her. I know she wants to be friends and all that stuff. It would be great to get to know her if we could, if it's possible." And before I talk, because I want to speak first, Nate. Before I talk, I just want to say the source for this article is ESPN. So let me start off with this first, okay? When I first heard about it, I was like, no way Rose said something like offensive to people and she didn't take it back. After reading it though, Nate, I really don't got a problem with it. I really don't, because it's not like, if it was blatantly came out and she was a communist, like Zhang was a communist, which Zhang isn't, then I would have a problem with it. I'd be like, well, basically you're calling her this because she's from a different country when that might not even be, when that couldn't even be the truth. And then you got the part about her saying that Zhang is red, but she's referenced that all her opponents she views them as red. It's just a motivation factor, and I never saw the film. you know um if it does come my way someday, I might check it out and watch it. So I really couldn't understand where her opinions are coming from, which is why she tells us to watch the film. Honestly, Nate, the United States is a freedom of speech. Everybody has the freedom to say what they want to say. Sometimes it's very offensive. Sometimes it's very inspirational. But regardless, they have the freedom to speak whatever they want to speak. That's the beauty of the United States. People have different opinions and everything like that. Looking at this right here, I really don't see it. I honestly, Nate, I don't see a problem with it. Now, I'm not for communism. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I think communism is absolutely, like, I can't stand it. I don't. I'm so glad that we live in a country that is not a communist country. But yeah, I got no problem with what Rose said. At first, before I read it, I was like, there might be something here. But now, after reading it, like, I don't think there's a problem. I really don't have a problem. Again, she says there's nothing towards Wei Li. She really does like her. Again, she's not calling her a communist. She and not only that, she wants to get to know her and know about her life as well. So, and if you guys never seen Wei Li, she is like one of the nicest UFC fighters you could ever see. She's always like, they view her as a very like nice person. She's again, they view her as, this girl who's like super nice, but then when it's time to kick ass in the octagon, she does it. Um, so yeah, with that being said, I really don't have a problem with what Rose said. So, I mean, with that being said, they will be fighting at UFC 261 for the UFC Women's Championship. I believe it's the strawweight championship. I believe it's the UFC strawweight championship. So make sure you guys go check that out. I could be wrong. Again, I'll double check it. If I am wrong, I'll comment and I'll put it in the comments what they actually are fighting for. But yeah, and they asked these comments, Nate. I really don't have a problem with it. You know, Rose spoke her opinion. She didn't really call her a communist. She just used that. Basically, she uses like what her whole what her family and what that her the country that they're from and what the country she's from had to go through, and she uses that as motivation for her fights. So with that being said, again, I wish Rose Namajunas and Zhang Weili the best of luck in their fight, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree with everything. And honestly, Mario, like I like how she speaks out about the communism thing because we all know communism is dumb. And I can't stand it. You can't stand it. And most people here can't stand it, if not all. But I like how she tells us to go watch that documentary. She kind of opens up about it because like we know what communism is, but like I love to hear it from someone that had to experience it. It's like how do I say? It's like talking to someone who survived the Holocaust. You know what I mean? Hearing it from their point of view, it's just so interesting. And I like to hear it like that. You know what I mean? Like we watch movies and documentaries and whatever about it, but hearing it from the people is really really cool, and I love it. But yeah, like you said, Mario, I'm not gonna touch too much on it because you already basically said it all. I don't really have a problem with it. At the end of the day, she wants to meet her and actually be friends with her. So at the end of the day, it's all luck. You know what I mean? So with that being said, best of luck to both fighters moving forward. The fight is on April 24th. Is it? Yeah, it's on April 24th. So we'll talk about it when the time comes. So with that being said, best of luck to both fighters moving forward, and I can't wait to see this fight.